Hello, and welcome to another chapter of Stelmo's Rants and Raves. I'm Stelmo. How y'all doing today? Hope everybody is fine. So I'm reading the LibertyDaily.com. It has a big headline here that reads, General Michael Flynn drops fiery statement about the Epstein files. And in his conclusion, one of the things that he's asking is that the public not let this story die. And I couldn't agree with him more. There's one aspect to this that I just can't grasp correctly up there in my cranial crevice. Donald Trump definitely did not like being prosecuted, both civilly and criminally, as one party tried to destroy him and put him in prison. He didn't like it. And the American public saw the unfairness. And what else we saw we saw a multi-level or levels of prosecution where certain, how should we say, elected officials were protected. And it's amazing how many episodes we find going over time of this multi-level judicial system. And I know Donald Trump didn't like it. He despised it. And yet here he's out here doing it, whether he realizes it or not. In the Epstein file, everyone knows that they have not released all the files. They certainly have not released the information on the powerful men that are in those files. And somehow they are getting a pass. So Donald Trump is showing us, whether he likes it or not, that having a different level or different pursuit of prosecution of certain types of people, I just don't get this, because he's now doing the very thing that he dislikes so much. And I don't know, I'm not going to get it. And but I do believe that everyone needs to stay on this. I don't know how many times I listened to President Trump when he was doing his campaign speeches, and every single time he come out and said he wanted, on day one, the Epstein file released. And that hasn't happened. And this is unfortunately what we're seeing with the president, or at least I'm seeing a vast difference in the way he's running compared to his first term. In his first term, Donald Trump tried to keep all of his campaign promises, and it was evident to people. The vast majority of things he managed to pull off. The few that he wasn't able to pull off, it wasn't for lack of trying on his part. And I think most of the people realized where the opposition was coming from. He just couldn't get Congress to support his ideas in those cases. And as a result, the things die. And it's just frustrating, because we see our country going down the drain. If somebody would have told me when I was in high school that just half of the stuff that's happening now, if I'd have been told that that was occurring, I'd have looked at them and said, you need to go and talk to a psychiatrist, because obviously you're not wrapped too tight. And but now we see it. There's this multi-level, and certain important people are protected. And the one thing I don't the one thing I despise the most with all of this is how you have what I call the Republican pundits that are out there. And they certainly know how to condemn things, because I listened, during 4 years of the Biden administration, I listened to them all the time. And I still listen to them all the time. But they never call out or rarely call out the president when he does something different than what he said. And certainly that's what's happening in the Epstein file. This nonsense, this is an old story, and I don't know why people really care. Well, let me answer that too. People care because they see where not just that certain people are protected, but they are protected when it is believed that they were committing illegal acts with minors, with children. And there's also been talk, and I know there has been no proof put out to the public yet about any human sacrifices, but there are these allegations out there. They are, from what I gathered, checking the ranch that Epstein owned in New Mexico. And you say to yourself, why is it only now that they're doing this? And, that's in part because of the public pressure. And I agree with General Michael Flynn here. The public cannot let this story die. Do I think we're going to see any prosecutions? No. But it's amazing. It's frustrating because I think also the majority of people believe that Jeffrey Epstein, one of two things, he was either murdered or he was successfully removed from that prison and is living somewhere with a protected identity. And there's evidence, circumstantial evidence in many of the cases that tend to show both of these scenarios. So it's hard to kind of know for certain what happened, but I think the thing that upsets me the most is both Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. They, under pressure, they released the videos that were released on the night Epstein was allegedly found deceased. And so in the video, there is that very brief section where you can see some of the orange jumpsuit from an inmate, or perhaps someone on the outside who was wearing inmate clothes, but it was there. And, in the beginning, both Patel and Bongino were like, you show us the evidence and we'll look at it, but right now there's no evidence that there was any kind of foul play involved in this case. They knew about that very brief where somebody moved into the camera view and very briefly moved out, which illustrates, when you look at the angle of the camera, the way it was shot, that the person had to be going sideways up the stairs to avoid the camera. But they missed that little part. And Bongino and Patel knew this. They knew this from the beginning. And how do I know? Because long after they released the video, they then released what they purport is the whole files, but trust me, it's not. And there's reference to that flash of orange, same color as the jumpsuits that the prisoners wear. So that in and by itself is enough evidence to warrant further investigation. And we've heard from various elements of the press, different things that all tie up here and make no sense. And that's why it needs not just further investigation, but the people have to stay on this. Donald Trump has to understand that this was one of his important campaign promises, and now he's reneging on it. And he's reneging on it because, again, certain high-up people obviously have carte blanche. They can do whatever it is they want. And whereas the public considers these people persona non grata, get rid of them as fast as possible, put them in prison. They have to pay a price for what they did to children. But we don't see that happening. And I just hope that everyone continues to talk about this. And this way, we may never prevail. We may never see the whole files. But that doesn't mean we should just acquiesce and go run to bed and hide under the covers or something like that. That's not the answer. So I hope everybody, and I certainly hope that some of these big Republican pundits out there, these people who have just as many followers as, let's say, Fox News, they need to get on the Trump administration for the broken promises this time around. And what I see, and I know Trump's a lame duck, he can't run again, so maybe that plays in at least a part to it. But I think he worries about his legacy. And I think he's putting so many blemishes right now on his legacy. And I think as time goes by, we're going to find out even more from, I'm going to say, third-party sources. And it's not going to help his legacy. It's just going to hurt it. And so I just hope that the truth does come out. I doubt it probably will, but the public needs to stay on this issue. I agree with General Flynn. I applaud him. So many of the pundits out there just are quiet when the president has done something wrong. But General Flynn, he knows what it's like to be prosecuted unfairly, unjustly, and illegally. He knows what it's like. And he just feels that some of these people who have so blatantly violated the law and possibly destroyed the lives of these children that were involved, somebody has to pay a price for that, but nobody is. And that's shameful. It really is shameful. It's a dark chapter in our country's history. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is not on the right side of this right now. He promised to be on the right side of it, but he's reneged on that promise. And I can say I support Donald Trump. And let me be clear, there is no alternative to the Republicans at this point in time. The only way that hopefully will move forward is some of these rhinos and some of these non-compliant Republicans are successfully challenged in primaries and removed from the system. I'm really glad to see what happened in Indiana, where Trump's picks all won, and they defeated the rhinos that were willing to surrender to the Democrats. And that's never an option because they're not Democrats. They are not Democrats. These people are socialists. At least the people who have right now control of the party are socialists. And that has to be fought at all levels all the time by as many people as possible. So, General Flynn, I give kudos to you today. Keep up the good work. America respects you for what you've done, and we appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a good day. Stay safe. It's a crazy world we live in, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.